It's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you.
So I saw this story yesterday. Elise Stefanik is considering a 2026 bid for governor of New York.
No. All right.
Multiple sources close to her confirmed to Fox News Digital.
Okay.
She made the case for a GOP win in New York next year when she commented on a new poll by Marist, which is the latest to indicate that Democratic Governor Kathy Hochul's approval ratings are underwater with New York State voters. The latest bombshell polling proves what every New Yorker already knows, that we must fire Kathy Hochul in 2026 to save New York. Hochul is the worst governor in America, and it's not even close. I think I could debate Stefanik on that.
Yeah? Yeah. Some guy out in California, maybe?
A gentleman in Illinois, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, we haven't held the contest verbatim to, but we're just saying it's not so clear to us.
Right. Now,
that's what we're saying. We have questions.
Now, to my buddies in New York, it's clear.
Well, if you live there, yeah.
They would say, no, Gary, sorry, you don't live here.
Yeah.
You don't live
Right.
here anymore.
Yeah.
You don't get a vote.
But we'll let them debate that with our buddies in California.
Yes, exactly.
So,
wow. Right now, we saw what what's his name was able to do? Lee
Zeldin.
Mm-hmm. And what was he? 8 points? I forgot what it was. 8 points, 10 points, something like that.
Yeah.
I forgot what it was.
Great performance.
Yeah. I don't think Stefanik can win in New York.
I don't think so either.
Now, if she runs, I will be the happiest person ever.
If she wins, yeah.
To say I was wrong.
Yeah, I don't have a problem being wrong on that one. I would be happy to be wrong on that.
Yeah. I'd be dancing in the streets.
Oh my gosh.
I'd come up with the "We Were Wrong" song.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's I would love for that to happen.
Yeah,
I just don't think that's gonna happen.
I just don't think her image in New York, outside of her district, is she's too conservative.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And I'm simply saying that based on her brand compared to the brand for Zeldin when he ran.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fine line if you're going to win in New York.
Right.
If you're a Republican.
Right.
And, man, I'm telling you, I hope that if she runs, I am wrong.
Yep. I will proudly eat those words.
Yeah, we'll see. You never know. There has to be a time. You would think eventually when California and New York would say, and Illinois would say, can we try something new?
Yeah, you would think.
Because
you would think.
When you look at all the primaries going on right now, I mean, this is like the whole thing we talked about earlier about David Hogue, the vice deputy chair, whatever, the DNC, putting together tens of millions of dollars in order to primary. My gosh, this is like a bizarro Republican Trump world here.
Yeah, right.
David Hogue saying, we need to primary these radical Democrats who are too right-wing in supporting Trump.
Right, yeah.
Who are these people?
Right.
Because there's not a lot of them.
Well, I mean, show me the ones that have come out against the radical positions. I would say it would make sense to me if they wanted to primary Fetterman, pro-Israel. Right?
All right, you can make that case. You can make the case for the two Congress people who voted that men should not be playing sports against women.
Right. Yeah.
And that's a radical in the Democratic Party.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a incredible radical. You are radical. You're out of touch. You don't believe that men should be able to flash their genitalia in front of women in a private locker room space? What the hell's wrong with you?
You're a radical.
Get in line, you radical right-winger.
Yeah. So I think we're up to 3.
So we're up to 3, yeah. We'd be up to 3. And and Schumer, because he voted for the continuing resolution.
Well, he's going to be gone by then anyway, probably.
Yeah, that's right.
We already know that. That's over. Yeah.
I mean, they're making it sound like there's this huge split, and even the way that it's written, that there's a civil war inside the Democratic Party.
No.
I thought there would be. I don't believe there is.
No, there isn't. There isn't. You have people like you mentioned earlier that there are people that aren't involved right now that are either former members of the party and held office before or have never held office that are saying things need to change. But you're not seeing that in the actual party right
even
now.
Though they're all over the place, as I mentioned earlier, with Serpent, with James Carville. Coming out and saying that Kilmar Abrego Garcia, this is what we should be fighting for.
Right, yeah.
Oh, my God, you're just saying that they're completely out of touch, and then you go completely bonkers.
Right.
And with all the information that came out yesterday, I said this to you. We're going to play some audio cuts here because this is a repeat of an audio cut we played earlier, but it sets up a couple of the other audio cuts that we have to follow it. I had asked you earlier, I said, okay, with all the information that came out yesterday, which clearly shows that the immigration judges said he's a member of MS-13. And I looked at you earlier and I said, okay, when will they start pivoting? You said it already happened on CNN. Tiffany Cross, how she responded to the Republican analyst, Shermichael Singleton, yesterday. And here's that audio cut. Here we go, because this is really interesting because he brings up everything in there. And you and I were making the point that everything that came out yesterday, you cannot. My first instinct is, even to a Democrat, you cannot continue on this narrative that this is a hill you're going to die on. And then I went, well, wait a minute. I've always been wrong on that. Every time I think they have to stop, they don't. They go further left.
Right.
But here was this on CNN.
I think it is a political issue. I also think it's a national security issue. Prince George's County in 2019, their gang unit determined that Garcia was an MS-13 gang member. His wife in 2021, the wife that's now giving lengthy testimonies about how great he is, said that he's a serial abuser, and she has a ton of photos to showcase said abuse. I agree, due process is absolutely important. We want to maintain that, but I think there's absolutely enough here to send this guy somewhere else. One, he's already broken the law. We've already established that. Now you do have evidence suggesting that he was a member or is a member of MS-13. He's also a serial abuser. This is not the type of individual I don't think any one of us would want in our country. He should be deported.
Respectfully, sir, Michael, we can't make it about Kilmar. Like, that's just one person.
But that's the case we're talking about.
That is, but I guess if we look at the macro and not the micro, and just
and that's when you and I just lost it. It's not about him anymore.
Why are we focused on one? Because you guys have done nothing but focus on one person.
Well, we had said yesterday when we didn't have the specifics from either of those, the judges or the appeal on that said, no, he's an MS-13 member. You and I both did say, we said, but wait a minute. The one thing that even the left is missing on this, and even the right, is the fact that he was sent back. The order was he can't be sent back to El Salvador.
Withholding order, yeah.
The withholding order because of rival gangs that may hurt him. Well, if there's rival gangs, rival gang means you're in the other gang.
Right.
And then when it came out, yesterday morning when the Department of Homeland Security released it, there was the evidence that, yes, the judges said he was part of the gang. And we went, well, at that point, and then the domestic violence accusations from his wife were like, there's no way they can continue to defend him. There's just no way. When will they pivot? And then you mentioned Tiffany Cross. That was her pivot yesterday. Now, though, let's look, for example, at what the politicians are saying. And these are both after the new information came out. Okay?
Okay.
After the new information. Here's Jamie Raskin, ranking Democrat member of the Judiciary Committee. Here we go.
And Donald Trump could not be airlifted to another country and just deported from the United States because he's a criminal convict. And this guy was never convicted of anything, has no criminal record at all.
So they moved. I remember I asked the question, when will they move the goalpost to say, but he wasn't convicted of anything?
Right.
Doesn't matter whether he was convicted of anything.
Nope.
Doesn't matter at all. So now they've moved the goalpost. They're going to continue on this hill to die from. And then when I saw this one, I didn't see this on MSNBC till about an hour ago. This is last night. This is after 7 o'clock. So we have all the new information out.
Yeah.
We know what the judges said. You saw Tiffany Cross backing off. It's not about him anymore. Well, of course it can't be. You can't win the argument. Here's Senator Van Hollen reporting from his El Salvador hotel room, and this on the timestamp is 7:32 p.m. last night. So at that point, we knew all the new information.
Yeah.
For hours, we knew the new information. Here he is.
Is just a gross violation of basic human rights and human decency. And, I asked the vice president if I came back next week, whether or not I could go visit Kilmar. And the answer was no, he couldn't guarantee that. I said, look, I may be the first member of Congress here, the first senator, but I can assure you more will be coming.
They're going to keep up the fight, I guess.
So now, if you're an international gang member that is recognized as an international gang that has invaded the United States,
right,
the Democrat standard is if you're in the country illegally and you have by the immigration judge, this is according to Jamie Raskin, that's what he's communicating, and the immigration judges more than one. The appeals judge, the same thing. You're a part of MS-13. All right, we won't send you back to El Salvador because you may be killed by rival gang members because you're a gang member. That isn't enough for the Democrats. You've got to actually commit a crime.
Well, and Van Hollen, it's interesting because the coverage of this by Reuters, which was updated just a few hours ago, here's what they have as one of the summary points. Van Hollen says there's no evidence presented to show that Abrego Garcia was a gang member. Again, this story is updated as of a few hours ago. Does Van Hollen not know? Has Van Hollen not been given the new information that showed two different judges said he was a gang member? That the evidence all points to that. And they're saying, well, there's no evidence of it. Actually, there is. I don't know why they want to keep this fight going. Where do they think this is a win? Where's the overwhelming majority, massive amount of people that are on their side politically?
And by the way, MS-13 is considered a foreign terrorist organization, just so people know.
Right. And the Department of Homeland Security put all the documents out yesterday. They said, here you go.
Yeah, here you go. It's just...
Van Hollen and, they're all basically on the in the Democratic Party, they're not going to give up this fight.
Wow.
At least at CNN, they tried to back away from it. Oh, this isn't just about one person. This isn't about the facts, Gary. We're not here to argue the facts. It's the idea. I don't know what to tell you. I really don't.
Yeah,
but they think they're heroes in this, and you're a hero of what? What are you a hero of?
I don't know.
What do you win? Where's the massive, massive number of people? Show me the poll.
I looked at Van Hollen's X page, and he made a comment. There were 24,000 comments.
Wow.
It was 9 out of 10 were negative.
Right, yeah.
Like, wow.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I just don't get it.
Yeah, I don't get it either.
Yeah,
I get where's the win?
Yep. 866-90 Red Eye.
This morning's USDA Farm Report is brought to you by Howes Products. Tested, trusted, guaranteed since 1920.
A quiet weather week so far could become more active leading up to Easter weekend in parts of the country. USDA meteorologist Brad Rippey explains.
That will change starting from west to east as we move into the mid to late week period.
So conditions to watch out for over the next few days.
We'll start to see some high elevation snow and some valley rain showers stretching from the Sierra Nevada in California all the way to the northern Rockies.
Including potential significant amounts of mountain snow in Wyoming.
Now, eventually that precipitation and the storminess will translate eastward. We're going to be looking at mid to late week showers developing in the Midwest, and then eventually along the trailing cold front extending southward into Texas.
And Rippey adds, heavy rains could fall in some areas impacted by early April flooding through the weekend and early next week. I'm Rod Bain reporting for the U.S. Department of Agriculture in Washington, D.C.
This report brought to you by Cenex Fuels and Lubes.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90 Red Eye on Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning. Thanks so much for being here. Coming up on the bottom of the hour, we'll hear from Tom Homan, who commented on Senator Van Hollen's trip to El Salvador.
All right.
You know where that's going.
I do.
Actor, comedian Michael Rappaport ripped NBA coach Steve Kerr for his comments praising Harvard University for defying President Trump's ruling concerning civil rights and DEI policies. In his post to his X account, Rappaport took aim at Kerr for wearing a Harvard T-shirt. I have so much respect for Steve Kerr, but he's pathetically wrong for all this BS in his Harvard T-shirt, he said of the radical left-wing NBA coach. But Rappaport corrected Kerr, saying, this is not a Trump issue. It's a Jew hate anti-Israel issue. None of this would be tolerated if it was about any other group other than people beside Jews. But as we see here, Steve Kerr, as normal, not the smartest person when it comes to anything outside of basketball, has taken the side of Jewish hatred.
Yeah. Wow.
Not surprising.
No.
They all get aboard.
Yeah.
They all get aboard. It's okay. It's cool to hate Jews.
Yeah. Why not? Everybody jump on board.
Yep.
And then, shield their hatred with freedom of speech.
Or we hate Trump, so it's justified.
Of course.
You're listening to Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios.
And he is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Thanks so much for being here. You know, the interesting thing is that Michael Rappaport's story, you know, the actor who used to be as far left as you could get.
Oh, yeah.
And a ton of different things changed him. He talked about, you know, October 7th helped change him, but also what was going on at stores near around where he lived, where they were locking up everything.
Right.
Remember that? And then the violence and the vandalism and all that. There was the shoplifting. That's what got to him. And now he really has rejected a ton of liberalism. So he went after Steve Kerr for wearing the Harvard T-shirt after a victory the other night. And as I've said, for Steve Kerr, not the smartest individual when it comes to anything outside of basketball. But the most amazing thing is not even that, not the idiocy that he shows because of his just pure hatred for Trump. His father was killed. A lot of people don't know this. Steve Kerr's father was killed by Islamic Jihad.
Wow.
His father was a president of American University. I remember when it happened. Happened back in 1984. He was president of American University, is assassinated by Islamic Jihad. His father and mother, experts in the Middle East. He knows exactly what's going on. And his hatred of Trump is so great that he gives Harvard the pass on their incredible hatred of Jews and the anti-Semitism that we have clearly, clearly have seen. That's the bizarre thing. That's what's so incredibly bizarre. Harvard gets a pass for their anti-Semitism. His own father was assassinated by Islamic Jihad. Just amazing.
If your TDS takes you that far,
yeah, I
don't know. I don't know what the answer is. There's clearly nothing anyone can say to you.
The other thing is, because one of the theme of the show started out today that both Eric and I going through yesterday, the entire day just went, yesterday was a microcosm of the disaster of what the Democratic Party has become. Another thing, we didn't even add this one in there yet. The whole thing of when Josh Shapiro's home was attacked.
Yeah.
And it was just assumed by the left, oh, okay, see, here's a hatred of the right. Well, they found out he was pro-Palestinian. We found that out.
Yep.
Pennsylvania Live had the details. The suspect, Cody Balmer, called 911 following the attack early Sunday, identified himself by name, told operators Shapiro needs to know he will not take part in his plans for what he wants to do to the Palestinian people. The search warrant written by police said.
Wow.
And all of a sudden, everybody went quiet on that one. Just amazing.
Well, we said early on it was way too quiet.
Yep.
You know, what's the motive?
Yeah, I did ask that, didn't we? We did ask that like immediately.
You know, and
with the specific charges out there,
right?
And there were such specific charges. How did they know it was terrorism? How did they know?
Right.
Well, now we know how they know.
Right.
All right, here we go. The Democrats still standing by Mr. Garcia. And this is Tom Homan yesterday on Fox News commenting on it. Here we go.
You mean Chris Van Hollen, the guy that didn't want to sign the Laken Riley Act that protects American citizens against illegal alien criminal gang members? Who instead of protecting Americans, his constituents, his taxpayers, he goes to El Salvador and defends an illegal alien with a deportation order that's a member of MS-13 that's been designated a terrorist organization by President Trump. That's where he went to defend it. It's just disgusting. The same senator who state yesterday released an illegal alien charged with murder, refused the ICE detainer, hit the street. So rather than protecting his community, protecting the residents of Maryland, he goes to El Salvador to coddle an MS-13 gang member terrorist. It's ridiculous. And also, I talked to an MS-13 expert today who also showed me pictures of his hand. Well, he says absolutely the tattoo on one of his hands was absolutely an MS-13 gang tattoo, nothing questionable about it. 2 judges said he's an MS-13 member. ICE says he's an MS-13 member. Intelligence community says he's an MS-13 member. El Salvador says he's an MS-13 member. So, it's just ridiculous. And as far as all the people who are speaking out against this, I cannot believe for a minute there's that many stupid people in the world. Now, AOC, on the smart meter, she's a 0. We'll give them that. But I can't believe these people really believe what they're saying. They got to be just pushing a narrative for political reasons. They can't be that dumb to think that that this person is an MS-13 gang member and a public safety threat.
So do you agree with Holman or not? Are Democrats that stupid, or are they just pushing a narrative?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, you heard Jamie Raskin. He hasn't committed any crime, so now they moved the goalpost.
Right.
He wasn't convicted of any
convicted
crime.
of a crime, right?
It doesn't matter whether that narrative doesn't fit the situation.
Right.
It's just, let's move the goalpost to something else.
Right.
Just amazing. Absolutely amazing.
I don't get it. I don't. What is the win?
And then finally from yesterday, the radical transgender movement again in the news as the Department of Justice is going after Maine. And it was fascinating because some of the defense was, well, there's not a lot. Why are we making a big deal out of it? There's not. There's only a few transgender athletes. Doesn't matter. That's like saying your official policy becomes that discrimination towards people is okay, but don't worry, it's not happening a lot right now. I mean, the explanations are just idiotic, but here's CNN with Linda McMahon.
Yeah.
Yesterday, it's like they asked the question as if they're completely dumb. Can you explain why you think transgender athletes amounts to sex discrimination? It's like, could you even ask a question like that?
Yeah.
It's here we go.
Insane.
Madam Secretary, I do want to put up Title IX because it seems like that's the foundation of your argument here. Just as a reminder for anyone, I know my own mother was a massive beneficiary of Title IX. I'm lucky to be young enough that had been settled by the time I went to school. It says no person in the United States shall, on the basis of sex, be excluded from participation in, be denied the benefits of, or be subjected to discrimination under any education program or activity receiving federal financial assistance. So can you explain why you think transgender athletes amounts to sex discrimination under this title?
I think there are 2 sexes. There's male and female. And so transgender doesn't have a play in this. You're born a boy, you're a boy. You're born a girl, you're a girl. And even with puberty blocking hormones, etc., males are still stronger. Their structure is different. They can perform very differently in competition. And we have to respect and understand that and give women the rights that they have under this Title IX.
And the funny thing is, the anchor asked the question, my mother benefited from it.
Right.
She goes, could you explain the sex discrimination? They're men!
My mother benefited from it, so I know. Now let me tell you how I really have no clue. And ask the stupidest question I could possibly ask.
And then this, we had mentioned this earlier, but this fits perfectly. You might not have heard it in case you just woke up, because this fits into this like a puzzle piece.
Yeah, yeah.
From the Washington Examiner, Mark Judge's column, the left now thinks that women are physically stronger than men. So now the left, there's a new book out called The Stronger Sex, What Science Tells Us About the Power of the Female Body, a forthcoming book by Star Vatan, a social justice activist, argues that when she was young, the culture force-fed her the rules about what my soon-to-be women's body could and could not do. So it was brainwashing from society in the past. It's the culture that told women they are not as strong as men, so women haven't tried to be as strong as men.
That's some Common Core math going on right there.
You can't make this. You cannot make this.
You're
stuff
working
up.
really hard.
It's like we're not winning this argument. Where do we go next? All right, let's just go totally bizarro and say women are actually physically stronger than men, but the culture told them not to try to be physically strong.
Yeah, don't you dare prove it. We're stronger. We just can't prove it because culture told us we can't demonstrate that we're stronger. I'm sorry, what?
This is like the radical transgender DEI or something. It's like what? Bizarro DEI.
Well, it's because they need something to go on. So what are they going to use? Think about this. They're launching this off of a book written by an activist.
Yes. Well, the expectation is, that CNN, MSNBC, New York Times, everybody will be interviewing this author.
Of course, who is going to be the expert, and it will close the door on the debate. Well, we all know because somebody wrote a book about it.
Well, I'm very upset because when I was in a junior in high school, and I was 5'2" and 98 pounds. And I went out for the football team, and everybody told me I was too small to go out for the football team. And it ended up that they cut me and told me that I was too small to be on the football team. And the fact is, they brainwashed me. Actually, at 5'2", 98 pounds, I should have been a defensive tackle or an offensive lineman. But they brainwashed me into believing that I was too small at 5'2" and 98 pounds.
At a running back, even, because you could have run under their legs.
I was actually stronger than all of them, but the culture is what discriminated against me.
Well, look, if I got one shot in the NFL, for that one play, I'd be the fastest man ever in the NFL because fear would drive me to speeds never known to man. But it would only be the one play, and it would be just like Forrest. I would keep running. I was running.
I want to make it clear, I am nowhere near any more 5'2" and 98 pounds.
Yeah. See, they were right.
It did grow.
They were worried about you having a growth spurt as a junior in high school. Yeah. Yeah, that wasn't my problem. My problem is I sucked at football. And they pretty much told me, you suck at football.
To think that I was actually the greatest athlete ever in the entire human race, and they brainwashed me to tell me I wasn't because I was 5'2" and 98 pounds as a junior.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's how it went. Roll with that.
Jim Thorpe.
Yeah.
Carl Lewis. Gary McNamara.
Right, yeah.
866-90-RED-EYE.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90-RED-EYE.
It's Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Jeez, what a day.
Yeah. You would think it would slow down a little.
I can't wait till tomorrow.
Yeah.
the other thing is,
which has already started.
who's going to get the source story of what's going on at the Pentagon with the third now top Pentagon aide on administrative leave?
I don't know.
Over leaks.
I don't know.
Nobody has broken that story, a source story, about what it actually is yet. Not that I've seen. I haven't seen it anyway.
Somebody's going to write it eventually, though.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That has me very curious as to how all that went down.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One.